In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement. I'm Trey Bossa, your host this week. Today, we're discussing how complicated retirement can become when you've got a lot of moving parts. And that's exactly why we've gathered a team of professionals for this episode. Today, our panel includes Julie Newton, Financial Advisor from Market Advisory Group, Susan Curtis, Tax Advisor from Market Tax Services, Gerald Eidelman, Estate Planning Attorney and founder of Eidelman Law Firm, and Kimberly Sixkiller, our Life and Long-Term Care Agent at Market Advisory Group. Welcome in, everyone. Julie, our episode today is about Tom and Mary, a couple that you work with. Give us a little bit of background information on Tom and Mary.
Okay, so Tom is 65. He's a retired union member. Mary is 68, but she's still working. She wants to keep that up. She said she feels great, so she wants to keep doing that for a while. The question when they came to see me was, do we start Social Security now or do we wait?
And that's the big question. That's what everybody is trying to figure out. When should I draw Social Security? Now, later? Because there's a lot of benefits to doing it early, later, but there's not a one-size-fits-all solution to that one question.
No, there isn't. And that's what people really struggle with the most is because, well, my brother took it here, my sister took it here, my neighbors, my friends, my coworkers. And so the tendency is to, well, if you've got all your coworkers saying, let's retire now, you should retire now, then that's what people start thinking, drawing their Social Security and all of that kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that's right for you. So one of the things that we have to take into consideration before we start Social Security, we have to have a conversation about a few things. What kind of income is coming into the household? With Mary still working, there's still a pretty significant income coming in. Additionally, there's some property, some investment type property that's paying in a monthly income. So there's lots of pieces that have to be taken into consideration before you just make that unilateral, let's start drawing our Social Security benefit.
With all of those different factors playing into it, sounds like there's going to be some tax implications.
Definitely tax implications. And that's one of the reasons why we brought Susan in so early, was because there's so many different things to consider here, and we've got to talk taxes first.
Right. Susan Curtis from Market Tax Services, what did you uncover with Tom and Mary?
So Mary had two businesses. One of them, she was actually making a profit. The other one, she was not making a profit. The one that she wasn't making a profit on, she was mainly donating her time, not collecting any, any compensation. She was donating supplies. And that's where, you run into the issue between, is it a business or is it a hobby? When you're running a business, you're in it to make a profit. And when you're in it just because you enjoy doing it, then that becomes a hobby. And the fact that she hadn't, had a profit in 3 years, then to me, that is, and to IRS code, that is a hobby.
And that's the catch, isn't it? It's how the IRS is going to foresee some of this, these different businesses and these different levels of income when we have that one business that's profiting and one that can be considered a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's correct. And the thing is when you have like a hobby, you cannot deduct your losses on the tax return. So, she's sitting here and she's been, taking these losses, and it's like, well, hold on a second. Let's go back, let's review, let's give her a clear definition and understanding of what's the difference between a hobby and a business.
Back to Julie Newton, when we have these different streams of income, like you were talking about, that's going to affect the big question. when should I draw Social Security?
Exactly. So part of it is figuring out the tax piece. So if you've got a variety of things, so keep in mind that Tom had a pension income. So that has to be taken into consideration, okay? Now you've got the potential business income, and we've got to decide, is this hobby or not? If it's not, is there going to be income from that business? So we've got to take that into consideration. And now she also had the other job, definitely had income from, and now we're going to throw Social Security into the mix. So it's not a matter of just, oh, I'm old enough, let's go ahead and draw Social Security. It's a matter of, is this the right decision for me financially? Because you can turn around and destroy yourself with taxes. Susan can attest to that. It can be really bad.
We have layer after layer after layer, and not everybody that comes into our office is going to have all of these different layers, all of these different income streams, especially when we're trying to help them answer, when should I draw Social Security? Like we've been saying, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
No, and that's, like I said, that's where people get confused, because sometimes there's that desire or that notion that I'm going to stop working, I need to start my Social Security. Or the other concern that I hear a lot is Social Security is going to go away. I got to start drawing it while I can get my Social Security benefit. And that isn't entirely how things are going to work, but it is what motivates a lot of people to want to go ahead and start that benefit. The converse of that is what if I wait to draw that benefit? Let's say I wait till I'm 70. Maybe I'm going to have an extra $400 to $600 a month. Could you use that much money extra a month?
Absolutely.
Of course, who couldn't? So the point being that if I wait, then Social Security is going to hang on to my money. And then the question is, where do I break even? What's that break even point? If you wait till 70, it takes you about 12 years to break even. So do that math.
Yeah, you have to live another 12 years before you get to that break-even point. Dang, I guess I didn't realize that there were so many layers to just answering one question.
Right.
Especially when we're sitting down with folks. They're going to hear a lot of different stories. They're going to get a lot of different information from folks. And, I mean, wouldn't they want to have a clear direction versus conferring with all of their friends and family? Right.
Unfortunately, their friends and family may not be experts, but we all like to feel like we are experts. If you think about it, if you wait till age 70, the next piece that comes to mind is that tax piece again, because we have to start drawing those required minimum distributions from pre-tax accounts at age 73 or age 75 if you were born 1960 or later. So that presents an entire new tax piece to keep in mind. So you've got to really be paying attention throughout the entire process to make sure that you have done everything you can tax-wise.
All of this stuff gets so complex. Your income affects your Medicare costs. Tax affects your estate planning. There's a push and pull to all of this that can siphon money off of your nest egg if you don't have a team working together. Market Advisory Group is that team. Go ahead and set up a 15-minute phone visit now. Just dial 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT, or you can visit our website at ionretirement.com to schedule. There, you can also check out past episodes where we focus on different client stories where retirement went wrong. Stay tuned. In the next segment on Ion Retirement, we're going to continue this story with Tom and Mary's estate plan. Hi, and welcome back into Ion Retirement. Today, we're talking about Tom and Mary. Julie, we talked earlier about their tax situation. Where did the meeting go after that conversation?
So because they had that rather complicated tax piece with the extra businesses, in addition to income from a pension and from Mary's job, I knew we needed to talk about the estate planning piece, because if you've got investments, businesses, whatever that looks like, you've got to make sure there's some continuity going on there, because what happens if something happened to one or both of them? So obviously, that's when we brought Gerald into the conversation to have that discussion and figure out what it was they needed to make sure that they had everything in place.
Gerald Eidelman from Eidelman Law Firm. How did that conversation go?
Well, they had an interesting situation. Tom and Mary had a estate plan in place that they had put it in action almost 15 years ago. They had set it up, they had a trust set up, they had powers of attorney, they had all these documents set up for the estate plan, and they had an idea of how they were going to distribute things among the kids, the grandkids, and all of these things. But they hadn't touched the plan. They didn't include the business in the plan because the business came after them creating the plan. And that's one of the things I keep telling people, you know, you can't just simply set up your estate plan and forget it. There's an evolving situation where your life changes, people grow up, they get older. Maybe if you had kids that were minors when you wrote the trust, 20 years later, they're going to be adults and they might be the ones who need to be handling your estate rather than Uncle, you know, June, who is 20 years older than the grantor. In this case, there were a couple of things as well that they have, since they set up the plan, at the time of setting up their plan, they put their home at that time in the trust. Since then, they went ahead and sold that home and bought another house. Now, unfortunately, the house they purchased, it didn't go into the trust because it's very common for title agents not to transfer or not to put the home in a trust at a sale. It's your responsibility as a grantor to make sure that home goes into the trust after the sale. So now they had this house that was being owned by them personally, and it wouldn't pass through the trust if they died today. And that's a significant problem because that would have meant that they had to go to probate to transfer that property, spend thousands of dollars. When I say thousands of dollars, I'm talking about $6,000, $8,000 or more, spend 6 months to a year going through the court system, all of that to transfer this home that should have been easily transferable during the lifetime. So that was one of the things that we took care of it. Then the other issue was the business. The business, they had, as Susan mentioned, one of them was more of a hobby than anything else. And there was no value to the business, so there was no reason to include it in the estate plan. But in the other business, she had a pottery business. She was the artist. She had started it as a hobby, and she became quite successful, and she did it on the side. Tom, after he retired, he would help her with shipping, advertising, doing all those kinds of things so that her pottery would sell. Well, the pottery business that she set up included putting a lot of money into the business, investing, you know, about $250,000 into the business, buying equipment and the right kilns and all this other things. And so if she, and the business was in Mary's name. It was not in his name or their name. And that's appropriate because if both of them had been business owners, they would have run into a partnership situation, and that wasn't necessary. But Mary had the business, and Mary intended to create that business to go forward after she retired. And there were some plans of making an S corporation once she retired, so she could receive, and Tom could receive a salary. All of these plans were there, but if anything happened to them, if anything happened to Mary, I should say, that business would be in limbo. First of all, Tom couldn't do anything with the business. He couldn't sell the assets. All of that would have to go through probate. It would have to be stretched out 6 months to a year. There would be tax consequences because Tom may not be able to take tax advantages of declaring the losses or income from their business in his own return. These things happen a lot. We had a client who, that's exactly what happened. The husband had a huge loss in a business that only he owned, and she never inherited it, but instead the gain that showed up in his last tax return couldn't be offset by the loss, and all because the business did not transfer to her immediately.
So they had a 15-year-old estate plan, and a lot has transpired in those 15 years. Is it still appropriate to say that maybe they need to review that, maybe get a second glance at that?
Absolutely. I tell people every 3 to 5 years, you should review it.
What kind of advice are you getting? Is it splintered and hyper-focused? Or are your retirement advisors working together so nothing gets overlooked? That's what we do at Market Advisory Group. We bring the whole team together for you. To set up your 15-minute phone visit, call us at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-624-7376. Or check us out on our website, IamRetirement.com. There you can watch past episodes or submit a question for us to possibly answer on a future episode. In the next segment of Eye on Retirement, we'll finish up with Tom and Mary's case by looking at their health care. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. In this last segment, we're going to turn to Tom and Mary's health. Julie, what did their situation and their Medicare policies look like?
So they didn't have Medicare when they first came to us, but there were a lot of things to talk about specifically because of the difference in ages, the different pension pieces. And so what we did was we brought in our Medicare and long-term care life specialist, Kimberly, to help us make sure that we were doing the right thing for Tom and Mary.
Kimberly Sixkiller, Market Advisory Group. What did Tom and Mary's case look like to you?
So as we've kind of already talked about, Tom and Mary had a lot going on, right? And in addition to everything going on with their estate and their businesses, one of the things the team uncovered was that they had a lot of family health concerns, and they could easily have all of their retirement savings wiped out by the potential of a nursing home situation, right? So luckily, our whole team on the Medicare side, estate side, took a look at that, and we found when we were looking at their health concerns that they hadn't joined retirement because Tom is a retired union member. That is awesome that they get that benefit. However, when we dug a little deeper into it, we found that Mary was actually costing a lot more for them to stay on that retired plan than for the Medicare team to transition her over onto Medicare. So we see that a lot with clients. Unfortunately, just because the retirement benefit is there doesn't mean that it makes the most sense. So the Medicare team helped to kind of transition her over. And then from there, we really just had to take a peek at their life and long-term care.
And that was the end of the road. That was the solution to all of their problems, right?
If only. When we looked at the life and the long-term care problems, obviously they had that ability that with the health concerns, they'd be paying a lot for long-term care. And we were able to find some potential solutions with long-term care hybrid that would give them some benefits monthly going into the different programs. And so when they finally needed assisted living, independent living, whatever that was, we were able to take some of that money and free it up with Julie and team to kind of direct to their needs.
If you could talk a little bit about some figures, what could somebody essentially pay on like a nursing home visit or for these kinds of policies in very vague terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So really the average in the Kansas and Missouri area, you're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 monthly, depending on the type of care that you have. And so there are policies available out there for under $2,000 a month that you can get that will make sure that you have those needs coming in when you need them. Some as low as a couple $100s a month. So it just depends on your health and your age.
with a figure like a couple $1,000, that can really take a bite out of a retirement nest egg, especially when over months, over a period of time, that really adds up. Julie, do you have any closing thoughts on the Tom and Mary case?
So one of the most important things, and we talk about this all the time, is get your situation reviewed. Whether it's with Gerald with that 15-year-old estate plan, or, you know, long-term care and health situation, the tax piece, the investment piece. People think that, you know, financial advice is all we're giving, but it's the entire team that really makes sure you're successful in your own retirement.
Right, and if you don't have the entire team coming together to talk about your financial advice, pulling from these retirement accounts, these defined benefits, if you don't have the tax advice to talk about what it's like to take those monies out and what it's going to cost you, especially when you have other streams of income, not just a pension, a defined benefit, not just Social Security, but you have that side business, the pottery business, you said. And then, of course, when we're talking about the grand scheme of retirement, it's not just going to be 1, 5, 10 years. We're trying to plan for the entirety of retirement. And when we're talking about that, we have to take into consideration about end-of-life care when we're talking about retirement and planning for those costs. So bringing in somebody to talk about all of the healthcare policies that can save you a good chunk of money. When you plan years in advance, it's important to have this team, to have these professionals talk to you about all of the ifs, ands, and buts. Otherwise, our clients are becoming the professionals. They are becoming the experts themselves. And at the end of the day, that's not their job. Their job is to enjoy retirement, to enjoy what they have been building up and investing in for the last, 3, 4, almost 5 decades? Yeah. At the end of the day, we're here to help folks by bringing all the professionals around one table. That's why we shoot these shows. That's why we talk about these cases, because it's important for people to understand that they are not alone. A lot of life problems can be helped by getting advice from a friendly voice who's been there before. A bad breakup, a career dilemma, or even what kind of cell phone to buy when it comes to all of these different solutions. But when we're talking about retirement, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It helps to talk to the financial advisor, the tax advisor, the estate planner, the healthcare advisor. We have all of those specialists to help you and your journey. And sometimes it only takes a 15-minute phone call. If you'd like to set up that 15-minute introductory phone call with Market Advisory Group, please reach out right now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-624-7376. Or you can do so on our website, ionretirement.com. If you'd like to see more of our episodes, just search for our new YouTube channel called Retirement Help. We have all the past episodes of Eye on Retirement there, but we also have more educational videos for your viewing pleasure. That's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Trey Bossa, along with our entire panel, reminding you we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client and prospect names mentioned on this show have been changed to protect the identities of the individuals discussed. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Edelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal/tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. All rights reserved.